All right. Now, in today's class, we are going to learn about second law of thermodynamics. Now, coming to your second law of thermodynamics, why we are actually defining your second law of thermodynamics is to overcome the limitations of first law. Now, the next question that will arise to your mind is, what are your limitations of first law? Now, normally what are your limitations means, for example, if you have a hot body, now if this hot body is at high temperature, okay, what happens is, now this hot body will start giving out heat energy to surroundings. Now your surroundings is your cold body. Now, according to your first law of thermodynamics, this energy lost by this hot body will be given, will be given to the surroundings, and your surroundings will take the heat energy. Now, according to your first law of thermodynamics, this process of transferring heat energy from hot body to cold body is correct. Why? Because your energy conservation is supposed to be valid, okay, and it is in fact actually valid. Now, if you assume a reverse process, okay, what is the reverse process means, okay, taking heat energy from cold body, and giving it to hot body, okay, is the reverse process. Now, if you ask me, is this process that I have written here, is this valid? Okay, according to your first law of thermodynamics, that process is valid. Okay, according to your first law of thermodynamics, this reverse process is valid. Now, this reverse process is valid according to first law of thermodynamics, and it is actually correct because your conservation of energy is being valid. Now, practically is this process possible? Okay, in reality, in any situation, will a cold body will give some amount of heat and increase the hot body's temperature means, in reality the answer is no. Okay, this is one limitation. Okay, your first law says energy conservation is valid, fine, and your first law says heat energy transfers from hot body to cold body, fine, but it will not explain what is the direction of heat flow. Why only heat energy is transferring from hot to cold body? Why not heat energy is transferring in the opposite direction from cold body to hot body? Okay, that is your limitation. Okay, for clarity's sake, one more example if I give you. For example, let us say you have a block of mass m. Now, when you give some speed or kinetic energy to this block, initially what is your kinetic energy means, Ke is equal to half m v naught square. This is your kinetic energy. Now, for this block, if there is kinetic energy, okay, now after you give the kinetic energy, now if there is friction, what happens is this body will stop here. Okay, it stops here. After, because of friction, eventually frictional force will act in the backward direction on the block. Eventually it stops. Now, initially this body is having kinetic energy. Now, after some time it is stopping. Now, where did this energy go means, it gets transferred into heat. Okay, this energy will get transferred into heat. Now, this half m v naught square will get transferred into heat if there is sound, some sound energy, if there is light energy. But now if we neglect that, okay, this half m v naught square, after it's stopping, it will be used for heating this block. Now, if you ask me a question, or if any person who is thinking properly, now you put a flame here and heat this block. Now if you heat this block, okay, will this block gain kinetic energy is the next question. Okay, now your natural process is, okay, right, your natural process, you give heat energy, because of friction it travels some distance and it will stop. Now if you give it gets heated. Now if you give heat, will the reverse process happen? Means the answer is no in reality. Now how do you explain? According to first law of thermodynamics, reverse process is also correct. Okay, because this body, this if this is converting, if energy is kinetic energy is getting converted into heat, we must be able to convert heat also into kinetic energy. If you start heating, this must give kinetic energy to the block, but that is not happening. Why? The answer is once again your second law of thermodynamics. Your second law of thermodynamics tells why this block is not gaining kinetic energy when you are heating it. Okay, right? Hope you have understood it. Now for more clarity, I can give one more example. Okay, now this is your second example, this is your first example, and your third example is, let us say you have a piece of ice. Now if you are releasing it from some height, okay, it falls onto the ground, and let us say it is getting converted into water. Initially it is ice. Now when you are releasing, what is happening is, here there is potential energy mgh. This potential energy is getting converted into water, or this potential energy is getting converted into water here. Okay, I mean for heating purpose to conversion. So here what is happening is, this mgh will be used for conversion plus, okay, yeah, finally it is getting converted, but when it comes down there is also kinetic energy. Now for conversion, and if there is some further temperature change, ms delta theta, depending upon the values, your energy conservation will be valid. So basically your potential energy is getting converted into heat. Now, okay, after, let us say this is finally in water state. Okay, to the left you have ice, later it has converted into, water state. Now if you or anybody ask me, okay, I will take some water, I will start giving kinetic energy and throwing it up from the ground. Now the water that is thrown from the ground, will it get converted into ice? If you ask me that question, once again my answer is, okay, according to second law of thermodynamics, no. Okay, so for these questions, if you are looking at the reverse process, okay, in all these situations the reverse process is not possible. Okay, practically it is not possible without giving any external work or external agent, without doing anything from outside into the system, we cannot do the reverse process. Okay, so in these kind of situations, what is the reason for this not to happen is, okay, it is from your second law of thermodynamics. To overcome all these limitations, we are explaining your second law of thermodynamics. So now we will study what is your second law of thermodynamics. Okay, copy down these examples. Okay, pause the video clip and then copy down. Okay, right. Now next, what is your second law of thermodynamics? Okay, so your limitations of first law, hope you have understood it. Now, okay, what is your second law of thermodynamics statement is, okay, many people gave different statements, okay, but I will write few of them. Okay, right. Now your first statement given by Clausius statement is, heat by itself cannot travel from hot body to cold body. Cold body to hot body. Okay, heat on its own, it cannot transfer its heat energy. Any hot body, any cold body will not transfer its heat energy from cold body to hot body unless and until some external agent is actually involved in it. Okay, right. So now that is your first statement. Next, second, okay, Planck statement is, okay, your Planck statement is, many people gave, but Kelvin Planck statement is, okay, your Kelvin Planck statement is, it is impossible for you to convert entire heat into work. Okay, it is impossible for you to convert entire heat into work. Okay, so these are the statements that are actually your statements of second law of thermodynamics. Okay, now in books big definitions are given but not required. If you follow this, that is enough. Now we will come to the actual part of it. Okay, I hope you have copied down. Okay, now so here, why cold body will not give, once again in terms of chemistry we will explain. Okay, so these statements are not actually explaining, but from chemistry, okay, you must have studied, or okay, logically if you think, okay, let's not put it in chemistry, science is for everybody, not only for chemistry, but here why this process is happening is, answer to all these questions from chemistry will come, your entropy will give the answer to all these things. Okay, entropy is the reason. Your entropy is represented by symbol delta S. Okay, so entropy will explain why heat is traveling only from hot body to cold body, why not from hot to cold to hot. It is explained by this entropy idea. Okay, so now what is this entropy? I will put it, how much is required we will explain now. So copy this statement as well. So I will erase. These are your laws. Now what is the advantage of this laws and all, I will come back to this. But okay, your second law says, okay, why your cold body is not transferring heat energy to hot body. Okay, so now for that we need to understand what is meant by entropy first. Okay, so entropy is represented by delta S. Okay, now what is the meaning of entropy is? Entropy is measure of randomness in the system. Okay, entropy is measure of randomness in the system. Okay, measure of randomness in system. Okay, so what is its meaning is, for example, if you have a body like this, where in which all the molecules are very ordered like this. Okay, now this is a system. Okay, now if you give heat energy, obviously what happens is these molecules will start going in some random direction like this. Now okay, so here the entropy here, if you are considering it as S1, and entropy here if you are considering as S2, your entropy is more here, that is randomness in the system is more here. Here it is ordered. Okay, here it is ordered. Here the lattice or these molecules are in ordered form. Okay, they are in inordered form or disordered, whatever you take the appropriate English word, you get it, no issues. So here your lattice is in ordered form and here your lattice is in inordered form. Now what happens is the entropy here is less and the entropy here is more. Okay, because in this system, okay, the disorder is more. Now what is the conclusion of this explanation is, okay, any system or any spontaneous process, okay, why am I using the word spontaneous process means you don't need to do anything from outside. Okay, from outside, you don't need to give anything extra into the system. Okay, so any spontaneous process will occur if entropy of that system is increasing or greater than 0. Okay, so now when hot body is giving out heat energy to cold body, okay, the entropy of the system is increasing. The orderness of the system is actually getting disturbed. The entropy is increasing. So in systems where entropy is increasing, okay, such kind of processes or in such kind of systems, the process will happen automatically. Okay, that means from hot body to cold body, if you are giving heat energy, I mean if hot body is giving out heat energy to the system, okay, in doing so the entropy of system is increasing. Whereas if cold body is giving out heat energy to hot body, then entropy of the system decreases. So that is why reverse process is not possible, whereas your heat energy transfers from hot body to cold body. Okay, so conclusion of or moral of the story is, any spontaneous process or in a system, your energy transfer will take place from hot body to cold body because its entropy is increasing. Okay, overall if entropy is increasing, that system will that process will happen in that system without any external work or any external agent, whereas reverse process will not happen because the entropy will decrease. Okay, so hope you have understood it. Okay, so now when out of this story the conclusion is, this is what you are supposed to take. Okay, so now let us try to calculate entropy and then we will try to explain why entropy is working out. Now for example, let us say you have a hot body. Okay, now this is your surrounding. Now we will try to calculate entropy for this hot body, but for this system, and we will check whether this gives heat energy or whether it will take heat energy from surroundings. That is based on entropy. If giving heat energy will increase entropy of the system, then that process will occur, else it will not occur. Okay, so now based on that I will try to explain. First we need to explain any through numbers. We actually need how to calculate this entropy. So first let us try to look at the calculation of entropy. Now your entropy is, okay, in physics for different processes you will learn in chemistry in detail, but for physics how much is required, only that much I will teach. Now for entropy calculation, okay, for entropy calculation at constant temperature, how to calculate entropy, that is one thing. And yet for variable temperature, okay, so for variable temperature how to calculate entropy. Okay, and then for reversible process, okay, reversible process in the sense what happens to entropy I will tell you. Now first of all, when constant temperature is there, your entropy is defined as delta S is equal to delta Q by T. Okay, so from this what is your unit is joule per Kelvin or calorie per Kelvin. Joule is the SI unit, calorie is CGS unit. So at constant temperature, this temperature is in Kelvin scale. It is not difference, must be in Kelvin. Okay, must in Kelvin scale. Okay, so now for adiabatic process, where in which no heat energy is transferring into the system, your entropy will be 0. But for a normal process, your entropy is defined like this. Now how this is the measure of disorderness means, we know that your temperature is interpretation of what? Your temperature is interpretation of kinetic energy, right? Kinetic energy of the molecules. So more temperature that you give, Okay, accordingly your heat energy observed and all will change. So automatically your entropy of the system will be getting affected. So your entropy is defined like this. It is ratio of heat energy by temperature. Okay. Now how will you calculate this? I will tell you with an example. So now for example, let me give you a application. You have 10 grams of ice at 0 degrees centigrade. It is getting converted to 10 grams of water at 0 degrees centigrade. Calculate entropy. That is your question. Okay. Now in this scenario, how will you calculate the entropy is, okay, your entropy is given by delta S is equal to heat energy by temperature. Your heat energy is mass times latent heat of fusion. Okay, if you have watched my calorimetry video, you will know. Here there is no temperature change, there is only state change. So how much is it? M times LF by temperature is how much? 273 Kelvin. Now your mass is in grams. So 10 times 80 by 273, if you simplify, how much is that entropy? That will give you 800 by 273 calorie per Kelvin. Now 1 calorie is 4.2 joules. You substitute accordingly and then simplify. Okay. So this is how you calculate your at constant temperature. This is how you are going to calculate your entropy. Okay. Now how the randomness? Entropy is the measure of randomness. So how is the randomness means? It is given by this parameter and this is how you are going to calculate. Now for variable temperature, okay, your entropy is given by, okay, delta S is equal to integral of dq by t from some temperature T1 to T2. Now normally your dq is what? ms dt. So integral of ms dt from T1 to T2, that will give you ms times integral dt from T1 to T2. So that will give you dt by t. Of course t is there, by t. So m into s into integral of 1 by t dt is ln t from T1 to T2. Ln a minus ln b can be written as ln of a by b. So that will give you ms into ln of T2 by T1. So this is how you measure your entropy when it is varying as function of temperature. Okay, right? Now based on this, okay, for reversible process I will explain, but based on this also we need to do a question. So now let us say, okay, your question is like this. You have 10 grams of water is actually changing from, okay, 10 grams of water at 20 degrees centigrade is getting converted to, okay, water at 10 grams of water at, let us say it is some 40 degrees centigrade. Okay. Now in this case, okay, according to this formula, your entropy is integral of actually dq by t from some temperature T1 to T2. Now 273 degrees, I mean 20 degrees centigrade is equal to 270 plus, that will become 293 Kelvin. So this will give you integral of 293 times 40 degrees is 40 plus 273 means that will give you 313 I suppose. So 313 times, okay, dq by t. Now from this logic it is what? M into S into ln of T2 by T1. So your mass is 10 grams, 10 times specific heat is 1 calorie per gram times your temperature is ln of T2 by T1, that is equal to 313 by 293. Use calculator. I have just simply taken numbers that actually came to my mind. So you are going to get 10 ln of 313 by 293 calorie per Kelvin, because you have taken mass in mass in grams. CGS unit of energy will be coming. So that is your answer. Okay. So at constant temperature, use this formula for entropy calculation. At variable temperature, use this calculation. Okay. Right. Now we will continue further. Okay. So I am erasing it. Next. Now these are the two situations how you calculate the entropy. Now coming to the next part. Now one more example we will see for clarity's sake. Let us say you have 20 grams of ice at 0 degrees centigrade and you are converting this into 20 grams of steam at 100 degrees centigrade. Question is find entropy of this system. Okay. Now in this case, how you will calculate is first for ice at 0 to it will get converted to water at 0 first and then it will get converted to water at 100, then it will get converted to steam at 100. So now here for this process, this ice water combination, your entropy 1 is, how much is the entropy means how much is your heat energy, mass times latent heat of fusion by temperature is in Kelvin scale, it is 0 plus 273, your mass is 20 times, latent heat of fusion is 80 calorie per gram, here gram will be there by 273 Kelvin. So that will give you 1600 by 273. You are going to get calorie per Kelvin here. This is your entropy for ice to water conversion. Now from here to here, your formula is m times s of ln of T2 by T1. Why this is the formula? Because here temperature is changing from 0 to 100. Follow the previous logic and all. That will give you 20 grams into specific heat is 1 calorie per gram into ln of your temperature is 100 means it is 373 by 0 is 273. Accordingly you can calculate. Next, for third process your entropy is delta S3 is equal to mass times latent heat of vaporization by your temperature is 100 plus 273. So mass is 20 grams, 20 into latent heat of vaporization is 540 calorie per gram times 373. So this is your delta S3. Now what is your total entropy for this process is, it is a scalar quantity. So delta S1 plus delta S2 plus delta S3. So add all the quantities, substituting in calculator you will get the required answer. Like this you are going to calculate. Now in this, if answer that you are going to get is positive, then this process will happen without any external agent. Else if the entropy you are getting it as negative, then some external agent must do this process. Right? So now this is your entropy idea. Now once this is known, now next thing is, if you take a cyclic process, usually cyclic and reversible process, here all these processes are, they can be irreversible. For irreversible process entropy will be usually greater than 0. So irreversible usually delta S greater than 0. Now for reversible process your delta S is equal to 0. In terms of chemistry, if you know, the concentration of reactants and products will be equal. So this is your symbol of equilibrium. So left hand side whatever concentrations you are taking, right hand side you will take those concentrations and then you will do the calculation. But here when entropy is 0 for these kind of reversible reactions, what is the conclusion that you can take is sum of heat, sum of heat from sink by temperature of sink is equal to sigma of Q by T is equal to sigma of Q source by temperature of source. What is this Q source, sink and all? Now I will discuss heat engines. Okay, after I discuss heat engines you will get to know, but take this result. This result is important in doing certain questions where multiple sources and sinks are involved. You have to follow this logic. Okay, when there is reversible process, cyclic reversible process, that too. Okay, cyclic reversible process, for some good questions you can use this relation and then do it. Okay, so now how is that, I will tell you. Do not worry, based on this also I will give an example, but copy this down as well. Now I will come back to where we have left. Okay, so your heat engine is your final important part, and the part where your problems are going to come in physics is from this area, that is your heat engine. Now what is your heat engine, I will tell you. Now your heat engine contains, okay, a hot reservoir, okay, or hot source. Okay, hot source in the sense obviously its temperature is high, so your temperature T1 is high. Now okay, next what will happen is this starts giving heat energy. Okay, then there will be some working substance, okay, on which some work is actually being done, and remaining heat energy will be sent to cold sink. Okay, instead of hot source, hot reservoir, cold reservoir, like this people will write, but some amount of heat energy will be released into this. Now what is its meaning, I will tell you. Okay, now what is that we are trying to do is, okay, we are trying to, okay, what will heat engine do is, okay, we will try to extract heat energy from some hot body, okay, and we will try to do, we are converting, basically we are trying to convert heat energy into work. Okay, why we are studying heat engine is, okay, it is indirectly, it is a device which tries to, okay, heat engine is a device which tries to, okay, right, convert, which tries to convert, okay, your heat into work. Okay, now 100% conversion of heat into work is not possible from second law of thermodynamics statement. Why and all proof if required we will give, but right now it is not required. But I am telling you, okay, what is engine means. Okay, why we are asking sir, go to mechanic, he will tell you, don't give such kind of explanations. Okay, so just it is basic information, you just take it as information, that's all. What is an engine, you define it and all, not required. Okay, so when you go to engineering you will study in detail. Your heat engines are basically two types, IC engines and EC engines, external combustion engine and internal combustion engine. Here fuel is burnt outside. Okay, fuel burnt outside. Okay, here fuel is burnt inside. Okay, so based on this what and all, it will be a lot of things are there, but it is not required. We will come to the actual part. Here in any machine where in which you are trying to convert heat energy into work, commonly three components will be there. Okay, so the story is starting here, listen to me carefully. In any device, okay, where in which you are converting heat energy, or you are trying to convert, okay, 100% conversion is not what I am talking about. In a system where you are trying to convert heat into work, mainly three components will be there. Okay, of course machine parts will be there, no doubt about that, but those three parts are, one is your hot reservoir or hot source. Source is from where you are extracting the heat. Okay, then there will be some working substance, then there will be some cold sink. Okay, now if you take for example the bike, okay, now your fuel mixture, air plus fuel mixture is burnt, okay, and your surrounding is your working substance. Okay, so now here you are actually extracting heat from hot source, then it will do, there will be some working substance, and then which will help us in doing the work, and there will be some cold sink like this. Now what is your heat engine is, it converts, okay, tries to convert heat into work. Okay, will it convert completely or not, that is dependent on the efficiency. So now here if I apply energy conservation theorem, Q1 is equal to W plus Q2. Now what is your work means, it is Q1 minus Q2. Okay, now here, okay, this is your heat that is actually getting extracted. Okay, and this is what heat energy that is actually getting rejected, and this is what we are actually getting as your output work. Okay, so now what is your efficiency here is, your efficiency is output by input. What is your output work, W, by what is your input, Q1. What is W means, Q1 minus Q2 by Q1, that is equal to 1 minus Q2 by Q1 is your efficiency. So this is your efficiency of heat engine. Okay, this result is important. What is this Q2? Heat rejected. What is this Q1? Heat extracted from the hot reservoir. Okay, now this hot source will have very high heat capacity, and cold sink also will have a very high capacity, but it is at low temperature. Remember, source is at high temperature, sink is at low temperature. This is high temperature. Okay, so we will have this high temperature body. This, from this high temperature body we will keep extracting heat, okay, by having sink. So this extracted heat, some portion of it will be getting converted into work, and how much is the efficiency of this engine means, it is 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Okay, now this is your basic working principle of heat engine. Now we will try to explain something here. Now because that you know what is the efficiency, okay, copy these things down, pause the video clip and then copy it down if required. So now here, coming to further explanation part, we are getting your efficiency. Okay, your efficiency formula is 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Okay, now let us try to understand here. Your sink is usually, sometimes it is surroundings, okay, and most of the times it is surroundings, not sometimes, but okay. Now if you take a system, okay, we require this T1 to hot source to be at very high temperature, then only naturally this body will start giving out heat energy, okay, and your heat energy direction is obviously from hot body to cold body. Now if you want 100% efficiency, okay, if you want 100% efficiency, your eta is equal to 1, which implies your Q2 is equal to 0. That is, your sink should not take heat energy. Now if sink is not trying to take heat energy, in which case that will happen means, when the temperature difference between these two is very small, Q1 minus Q2 value is almost close to 0, then only, okay, your Q1 minus Q2 value, okay, is tending to 0, then only this will happen. Now if this value is very less, why will anybody will transfer heat energy? For heat energy to happen, your entropy should be greater than 0. For entropy to be greater than 0, obviously it happens by giving out heat energy, okay. By not taking heat energy, your entropy will actually, in that particular system, it will be greater than 0. So here this is practically not possible, okay, right. So now you cannot have this in reality, okay. So to overcome this problem, okay, to overcome this problem, what did Carnot do is, Sadi Carnot designed, okay, a cyclic reversible process which is called as Carnot cycle, okay. So he told getting 100% efficiency is not possible, I accept. But the thing is, okay, in reality, okay, the maximum efficiency that I can get or obtain in a reversible cyclic, in a cyclic process is, okay, by following this Carnot cycle. Okay, so Carnot cycle, okay, if you follow, it is a cyclic process. In this cyclic process, we are going to get maximum efficiency. Okay, so we will get maximum efficiency from Carnot cycle. So what is this Carnot cycle is what we are supposed to know. Your Carnot cycle is, okay, to explain Carnot cycle, okay, it is a series of processes, okay, that is, I'll just simply draw a graph like this and then explain first. So from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4 and then 4 to 1, like this there will be a cyclic process. So what is the sequence of this process means, from 1 to 2, okay, it is isothermal expansion. 2 to 3, it is adiabatic expansion. 3 to 4, it is isothermal compression, and 4 to 1, it is adiabatic compression. Okay, now if you follow a cyclic process like this, for this cyclic process, if you are calculating efficiency, what is the efficiency that you are getting is your maximum efficiency. Okay, your eta symbol is maximum efficiency you will get for any process if you follow these steps. This is what Carnot gave. Okay, so now to attain maximum efficiency, we have to follow these steps. If we follow these steps, then we are going to get maximum efficiency. Now in Carnot cycle, okay, how much is this efficiency value? That is what we are going to calculate now. Now for a cyclic process like this, okay, if you have watched my previous lecture, okay, second lecture, first lecture is just simply how to calculate work and all. So for different processes, isochoric, isobaric and all, we have done now. So in those cases, how will you calculate efficiency for a process is, your efficiency in a cyclic process is, okay, total work done by, you should take heat input to the system. If you are extracting heat, you should not do it. Okay, next we will see now. Here you will get heat input, here you will get heat output Q2. Okay, so here you have to write total work is W from 1 to 2 plus 2 to 3 plus 3 to 4 plus 4 to 1 whole divided by input is only Q1. You should not take this Q2. Input is only Q1. So this is your efficiency for this cyclic process. So this efficiency we are supposed to calculate for this kind of process. Now if you are calculating this, how much is the answer that you are going to get here? That is your maximum efficiency that you are going to get between a source and sink. Okay, you are going to follow a sequence of processes like this in a cyclic manner. In this cyclic process, how much we are getting as the efficiency, that is the maximum efficiency that you can get, okay, for a heat engine. Okay, previously we got heat engine efficiency is 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Okay, now this efficiency, out of this, how much is the maximum value that you can get when you are doing it practically? Okay, it practically also we did not achieve this efficiency. Okay, so that is only why we still don't have great mileages for the bikes. For bike, hardly the maximum mileage that you are going to get is around 100. Okay, that too some bikes. For cars, if you take on an average Maruti Alto and all, they will give around 30-32, and big cars still less. Why we are not increasing the mileage of those specific vehicles means, ultimately the reason is we cannot practically get more efficiency out of those engines. Okay, so now if you can invent, somebody will definitely give you some kind of Nobel Prize and all. So leave that apart. But my point is, you can get maximum efficiency if you follow Carnot cycle. In Carnot cycle, what are the process means? Like this, you will have totally 4 process. And now what is that I am going to do is, I am going to calculate the efficiency for these processes. Now I will erase this and I will do the math part of this Carnot cycle. Okay, so I will erase it. So now first I will draw the graph and then to a side, and then we will start doing the calculations. Now you need to understand and remember the previous results for work done in adiabatic process and all you need to know. Now coming to the first part, okay, first I will draw graph. So your graph will be like this. You will have 1 to 2 isothermal process, then it will be slightly vertical. This is adiabatic. Okay, then 3 to 4 like this, there is compression. 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, yeah, like this. Now remember, why did I draw this graph exactly? I will tell you. Okay, you keep this point in mind. For a isothermal process, if you take PV is equal to nRT, from this isothermal process, this part is constant, your P is 1 by x graph. Now if you take slope, PdV plus VdP is actually, if you differentiate it, you are going to get nRdt. Now from this, your slope is actually dP by dV. Okay, now whereas for adiabatic process, PV power gamma is constant. If you have watched my videos, P times gamma V power gamma minus 1 plus V power gamma into dP is equal to something we will write. So from this, once again, if you calculate dP by dV, now the thing that I want you to understand is, okay, from this explanation, if you have watched my videos previously, your conclusion is isothermal graphs, isothermal slope is somewhat close to flat, adiabatic slope is steeper. Okay, adiabatic slope is steeper, that means it is kind of vertical. So that is why the graph here is flat, the graph here is vertical like this. Okay, so now first 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 1, I will explain the process. So 1 to 2 we have isothermal process, 2 to 3 we have adiabatic, then isothermal, then adiabatic. Okay, now let us say the temperature is T1 here, let us say the temperature is here is T2. Okay, so from 1 to 2 isothermal process. So first, for the first process, 1 to 2 isothermal expansion is what I will do. Your isothermal expansion is, your work done in this case is, okay, nRT ln of V2 by V1. Okay, so if you remember this, okay, work done in isothermal expansion is nRT1 ln of V2 by V1, because the temperature here is T1 where V2 is volume at 2. Now for isothermal process, internal energy is 0, this is W1. So your heat energy delta Q1 is, or I'll just simply write Q1. Q1 is nRT1 ln of V2 by V1. Now this is a positive quantity because your work is positive, because volume is increased. Okay, this is a PV graph. So here volume is increased from 1 to 2. So V2 is big, V2 by V1, overall positive quantity, NR positive, so volume is positive, and heat input to the system is also positive. Here because Q1 is also positive, your Q1 is also positive. Okay, because work is positive. Now next, coming to the next part, next is 2 to 3, you have adiabatic expansion. Now from 2 to 3, if you are taking your internal energy delta U2 is nr by gamma minus 1 because it is NCV delta T, final minus initial temperature. So it is nr gamma minus 1 times T2 minus T1. This is your internal energy. Now your delta Q is 0. So in this case your work W2 is, if you apply first law of thermodynamics, delta Q is equal to delta U plus W. So delta Q is delta U2 plus W2 means your Q2, delta Q is 0 here. So your work done W2 is, okay, minus of delta U. So that is minus of nr by gamma minus 1 into T2 minus T1. Okay, your work, this is equal to W plus delta U2, no? So that is why your work is minus of delta U2. So your work value is minus of nr by gamma minus 1 times T2 minus T1. Next, from 3 to 4, if you take, it is isothermal compression. Isothermal compression means your work will be negative because volume is decreasing. So your work done from 3 to 4 is, okay, nr T2 ln of, you have to write V final, V4 by V3, but this will be written as minus nr T2 times ln of V3 by V4. Now here work done from 3 to 4 is this much. We are going to use this. Your internal energy is 0. Your heat energy Q2 is, okay, delta U plus W, but this is 0. It is minus nr T2 ln of V3 by V4. Sorry. V3 is big, right? Yeah, V3 by V4, correct. What I have written is correct. So now here heat is rejected. Your Q is negative. So that means here heat is rejected. So your work done is total, your efficiency is total work done by, you have to write only Q1, you should not write Q2. Q2 is because it is rejected by the system. Now coming to 4 to 1, it is adiabatic, okay, 4 to 1 it is adiabatic compression. So now once again for this adiabatic compression, your work done is delta Q is 0, delta U is nr by gamma minus 1 times final minus initial, that is from 4 to 1 you have to write T1 minus T2. Now your work done is minus of nr by gamma minus 1 times you have to write T2 minus T1. Here also your work is W4. Okay, right? Now your total work done is, okay, W total is W1 plus W2 plus W3 plus W4. Now if you are adding this W2 and W4, just hold on, let me check whether I am doing it correctly or not. For 2 to 3 it is T2 minus T1, minus sign is there, and here it is nr by T1. Wait, work is negative of this, it is not this thing, it is work is this part, negative part, okay, because it is equal to how much, delta U plus W4. So negative of this internal energy, here it is minus of, it should be written as minus of nr, which is equal to nr by gamma minus 1, negative of this is T2 minus T1, okay, it is nr by gamma minus 1 times T2 minus T1, initial minus final, because this internal energy final minus initial, for work it is final minus initial, because you send it to other side there will be a minus sign. So your total work is, okay, nr T1 ln V2 by V1 plus nr, minus sign, minus nRT2 ln of V3 by V4 is what you are going to get, because these two will cancel off when you are adding, okay, plus W2 and W4 will cancel off, they are equal and opposite. So copy this stuff, okay, I need space, I'll erase all these things, okay. So now from this explanation so far, so your total work, how much is that you are getting is, your work is nRT1 ln of V2 by V1 minus nRT2 ln of V3 by V4, okay, this much is the total work, okay. Now keep this aside. So now this is your total work, okay. So from this we will once again come back to this. Now usually for adiabatic process PV power gamma is constant. Now in terms of temperature and volume, if I write, pressure is nRT by V times V power gamma equal to constant. From here T V power gamma minus 1 is equal to constant, okay. Now use this logic. So temperature T1 into V2 power gamma minus 1 is equal to, okay, for this state 2, T1 is the temperature times V2 is the volume here, power gamma minus 1, that must be equal to temperature T2, okay, for this process, okay, for 2 to 3 I am writing it. So T2 into V3 power gamma minus 1. Next, similarly for 4 to 1, T2 into V4 power gamma minus 1 should be equal to T1 into V1 power gamma minus 1. Now I will divide these two. So divide these two expressions, okay, you divide, okay, divide, okay, so T2 will go off. So you will get V3 by V4 whole power gamma minus 1 should be equal to V2 by V1 whole power gamma minus 1. From this, what is the conclusion is V2 by V1 is equal to V3 by V4, okay. Now from this, okay, let us come back to work. So your work is nRT1 ln of V2 by V1 minus nRT2 times ln V3 by V4 can be replaced with V2 by V1, that is going to give you nRT1 minus T2 times ln of V2 by V1. This is your total work done. Now your heat energy Q1, if we have calculated, your Q1 is equal to how much, means your Q1 is, okay, it is equal to work done, okay, W1 plus delta U1, but it is isothermal, U1 is 0, W1 is how much, means, okay, it is nRT1 ln of V2 by V1, okay, refer to the previous one if you have any doubts. So you have got Q1. Now from this your efficiency is total work by, okay, that is total work by heat input, you are giving only Q1. So that will give you W total is nRT1 minus T2 times ln of V2 by V1 whole divided by nRT1 ln of V2 by V1. Ln will cancel off, nr will cancel off, that is equal to T1 minus T2 by T1, that is equal to 1 minus T2 by T1. This is your efficiency, okay. So now this is your efficiency, okay. So this is your maximum efficiency, where T2 is what, temperature of sink, Okay, this is your sink temperature, this is your source temperature. So what is the conclusion of Carnot cycle means? Your efficiency is this much, that is 1 minus T2 by T1, temperature of sink by temperature of source. Okay, now copy this stuff down. Okay, I have explained the derivation in detail. Now I don't need to further elaborate it. So I have explained it in detail. So now from this part your conclusion is, from Carnot cycle your efficiency is 1 minus Q2 by Q1, that is equal to 1 minus T2 by T1. Okay, so this is your sink, this is your source. Okay, this is the maximum efficiency that you are going to get, which is also equal to your work by heat input. Okay, output work by heat input. Okay, now this is regarding heat engines. Okay, now next thing is, okay, your refrigerator. Your refrigerator is what? Or cold pump. This is hot pump. So your cold pump is nothing but, cold pump or refrigerator is, you have to extract heat from cold body. So you will have sink, that is T2 at lower temperature. Okay, kind of apple in fridge. Okay, now then what you will do is, you will extract heat Q2, then you will do some additional work. Okay, and then release it into the source like this. This is your Q1. Now here also the same logic, but it is reverse process. You extract heat and you do work. Okay, now from top to bottom it occurs on its own, but from bottom to top, if you want to extract heat from apple from a fridge, only if you extract heat, then it will cool down. Or from ice cream, if you want to extract heat, or if you want to convert water into ice, we need to extract heat. So that heat extracted, this is your extracted heat, and you do some work. This is what is that you are finally going to get. Now once again, if you apply your energy conservation theorem, okay, your heading is your refrigerator. Okay, so for this refrigerator part, just let me look at the time. So for this refrigerator part also we will apply once again your energy conservation theorem. Q1 is equal to Q2 plus W. Okay, now for this, okay, previously we have derived efficiency. Now here we will define something called as coefficient of performance. Coefficient of performance is given by beta. Okay, your coefficient of performance beta is how much work that you are getting by, okay, heat absorbed by work, how much work you are doing and how much heat absorption is done. So it is heat absorbed by work. We don't define efficiency. Okay, obviously there will be no efficiency. We are doing work. When we are doing work, what is there to efficiency? So coefficient of performance is heat absorbed by work done in bringing that heat. So heat absorbed from the body is Q2 by W. But what is W means? From here W is Q1. So Q2 by, what is W? W is Q1 minus Q2. Now divide with Q2. So your beta is, okay, because we know your efficiency formula is 1 minus Q2 by Q1. Okay, so now we will divide this. Okay, if you divide this with, okay, Q2 by Q1, no, we will do Q1 by Q2. What is there? So Q2, if I divide, this will become 1 by Q1 by Q2 minus 1. No, it gets complicated. Let us divide with Q1 only. So if I divide this with Q1, Q2 by Q1, okay, by 1 minus Q2 by Q1. So what is Q2 by Q1 means? 1 minus eta q2 by q1 from here is 1 minus eta by 1 minus q2 by eta is 1. So that will give you 1 by eta minus 1 is your coefficient of performance beta. Okay, so that is 1 minus n by n. Like this you will define. Based on this you will have simple questions. You do those. Okay, so with this we will stop. This is your second law of thermodynamics. Your problems will be very easy. Just look at efficiency formula, that's all. And if refrigerator is given, use this formula, that's all. Okay, so your eta formula, efficiency formula is 1 minus q2 by q1, that is equal to 1 minus t2 by t1. Okay, use these definitions, that is enough. Okay, thank you, that's all for today.